Welcome back to part 8 of my Dungeons Risk series. In the last episode, I made some pretty big changes to the game overall. For example, I changed it from a roguelike type game to more of a endless wave-based survival type game. Mostly because I realized I didn't want to make a roguelike anymore. Alongside that, I made a new shop menu, completely reworked the balancing system by adding hexes and improving my algorithms for the enemy scaling, and even added an inventory menu for when you buy items from the shop. Now, in the last video I mentioned how I made a bunch of new features that didn't make it into the video because I forgot to record the footage of me making them. So, before we get into new stuff, I'm going to go over what I did earlier in no particular order. First up is the enemy ranks. Every enemy now has 3 different ranks, minor, standard, and major. The minor ranks being the weakest and slowest, while the major ranks being the fastest and strongest. Of course, with all of this being heavily inspired from Halo. And to give the player better information on what they're going up against, I added an extra menus with every enemy's description and stats, alongside their ranks and what they should look like. I also added mobile controls. Now there's a little joystick on the screen for moving the player, and you can tap anywhere on the screen to attack. I also added a little button on the screen for the player's special attack. Right now it's just using a placeholder texture, but maybe in the future I'll add a more advanced touchscreen control, like double tapping to use a special attack instead of having to press a button. Then finally I added a saving feature for the inventory and scores and stuff like that. Originally I was just going to use Godot's built-in saving system, but then I found out that it doesn't work for arrays or dictionaries. Which is pretty stupid, but I'm sure there's some important programming reason why it doesn't do that. It's not like I would know, I'm self-taught. Anyway, I had to change it to JSON instead.
JSON.
Which was sorta new territory for me, but after a tutorial and some googling, I got it all sorted out and working just fine. Which comes with the fun added bonus of the player being able to go into their PC's file system and just give themselves 1,000,000 coins or whatever. Please don't. Alright, now we're finally done with the stuff that should have been in last video. We could get started on the stuff that's supposed to be in this video. First thing I got going was making a new character select screen, since just having 3 buttons to press for any of the characters wasn't all that modular. And it didn't really allow for me to add character skins or different weapons or anything else I'd want to add in the future. Of course, like all good things in Godot, I started it off with a panel. Then of course added a tab container that would hold all of the characters on them and buttons to scroll left and right to choose the character you want. Then I just added a description box to the left of the character to describe what they're all about. The text on it was pretty easy. It was just pulling from a dictionary and displaying the text in a similar way I handled the hex pop-ups in the last episode. Once I was finished with making the base for the new character select screen, I got to work on the fancy stuff. I added an option to change the skin for the player character. So far I only have one implemented though, and it's just a skeleton skin. But now it's an option if you have a bone to pick with your calcium comrades. God, that joke is so stupid, I better not leave that in. But more recently, the artist that's been making the asset packs I use for this game has really been kicking things up a notch lately, which means there's definitely going to be more stuff to add later on. Then, of course, the skins can just be bought from the in-game shop for the coins that you'll be collecting along the way. After that, I got to work on making the ability to change the player character's weapons on the character select screen. Now, the Knight and Archer playable characters have a few different weapons that they could choose from that work good in some situations, but maybe not others. But so far I can't really think of anything interesting for the mage character that wouldn't just be a rehash of a different weapon I had planned for the other characters. So for now he's just going to be stuck with his base things. These new weapons will just be bought from the shop with coins just like the skins. Just to go over what we already have, the knight weapons are just the regular sword, a scythe that spins 360 degrees around the player, and a dagger that can attack really fast but has a very limited range. And for the archer, there's the base bow, of course, a triple shot bow that shoots 3 arrows at the cost of reduced damage and speed, and my new favorite weapon, a bow that shoots arrows that disappear after a second, but the arrows can pierce through anything. Time for a small side tangent. When I was making the knight character's weapons, I was checking all the animations to make sure I had everything done properly, and I noticed I had forgotten a feature that was in the original game back in Godot 3. And it just never got ported over when I remade this game in Godot 4. In the original game, the shield moves up and down as the knight goes through her idle animation, while in the current game, it doesn't. This is completely unacceptable. I can be a complete lobotomite sometimes, I swear. Anyway, I finally ported that feature over from the original Night game and finally restored peace while also completely destroying any argument to play the original over the new version. Now this video is sort of coming to a close, and I thought the best way to finish it up was to make some more levels to add to the game. This time I decided to use one of the new tile sets I bought forever ago during a sale, which is the Forge Asset Pack made by Ennoble, who, like I mentioned before, has made all of the art for this game so far. I'll have a link in the description to their itch.io page. They do fantastic work and I love it. Anyways, if you're not interested in the level speed build, just skip to the time on screen right now. Alright, now that the levels are made, I just need to add a way to buy the levels in the shop so that the player can play those levels later. I got the level buying working, which means I can add even more level sets in the future, no problem. But with that, it's time to end this video. Sorry about the long wait between uploads. I've been playing Minecraft and Marvel Rivals and doing just about anything other than working on this game. But as always, if you have anything to suggest or if you just thought this video sucked, don't forget to leave a comment. I'm out of here.